This week is totally massive for Team Green. Not only are we getting an Xbox Developer Direct about Fable and Forza, but also Xbox have now decided to treat us to an incredible Xbox Game Pass drop. These games included this week are absolutely insane, and if you're either a premium or an ultimate subscriber, get ready because you're going to be eating good. They are bringing now 15 brand new games to Xbox Game Pass, so with that, my name is Fletcher and this is Xbox Nation, and let's just dive right into it. To start with, we do have 2 games that are launching as of today onto your Xbox Game Pass library, and they're actually 2 pretty decent titles. I will quickly breeze over these as I did mention them in our previous Game Pass video a couple weeks back, but let's just get over them quickly. The first is Resident Evil Village, and this one has landed for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and Premium subscribers. This was the follow-up to RE7, and it once again puts you in control of Ethan Winters. This time he does get trapped in a twisted European settlement where every step feels dangerous and it's insanely eerie. It is actually ranked amongst the best entries within this series thanks to its striking environments, its very memorable villains of course, and really polished presentation. Personally, I haven't actually played it as I really don't like horror games in general, but from reviews and what I've seen online and its discourse, it's been praised due to its atmosphere, storytelling, and genuinely intense moments. If you are a horror fan, I have no doubt you will dive into the world of RE Village as it's available for you right now. We then have a day one Xbox Game Pass drop for Ultimate and PC members, and this is the brand new Metroidvania from Focus Entertainment, and it's called Mio Memories in Orbit. This is a really interesting one as it's being compared to a lot of games like Silksong, so that is definitely some welcome praise. It will put you in the tiny shoes of Mio, who's essentially a nimble robot with extraordinary abilities. You will wake up aboard what's called the Vessel, and this is an enormous technological ark whose initial purpose remains unknown, and it now lies as a field of ruins overgrown with lush vegetation and machines gone rogue. You will have to ultimately explore this world, take on the different insane bosses and enemies, and uncover the mystery of the vessel and your own origins. If you are interested in hearing more about Mio, I did publish my review here on the channel yesterday, so you can check it out with the card on screen or with the link in the comment section below. Now, onto the new Game Pass editions for this week's news drop, and we are starting off insanely strong with the very mightily impressive Death Stranding, and it's hitting Ultimate, PC, and Premium tiers. What is fantastic is that this is the director's cut, and this edition adds even more to Kojima's strange yet compelling vision. As Sam Porter Bridges, you'll be traversing haunting, windswept landscapes on a quest to reconnect isolated cities. It is part walking sim of course, but then part physics puzzle and part social experiment with asynchronous online features that make the entire world feel shared even in its solitude. The new additions in this new entry include some delivery tools, some very welcome combat enhancements, and even expanded missions that round out the entire experience. It was so great seeing this game finally being freed from the shackles of PlayStation about a couple of years ago now, and I do fully expect this will also be the case for Death Stranding 2 in the near future. It is also worth mentioning that RoadCraft is already available on Xbox Game Pass, however, it will now be landing for PC Game Pass specifically this week. This lands on the very same day as Death Stranding, and if you're unfamiliar, it basically has you driving around a fleet of over 40 authentic construction vehicles, and your job is to essentially clear the debris, repair roads and bridges, and ultimately restore some essential infrastructure. I have actually played this one now for just over 15 hours I believe, but I do still have a load of content to delve into, but from what I've played so far it's a pretty solid sim game. I personally do prefer SnowRunner, but this is a decent one in its own right, and graphically it's truly a stunning game. Again, it will be available on the 21st for all of you PC Game Pass subscribers, as it's already available for Premium and Ultimate tiers already. A massive side-scroller is also landing on the 21st, and that is the recently released and incredibly well-received Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. This one was developed by Koei Tecmo alongside Dotemu, and it's a 2D side-scrolling chapter that introduced us to a brand new face called Kenji Muzu. It actually contains all the lightning-fast action, razor-sharp enemy encounters, and classic side-scrolling combat that you kind of expect in this genre, and also the franchise of course. I loved its crisp art style and that pulse-pounding soundtrack, and the game also does a very great job of sort of balancing that retro flair but with modern design. It has some seriously smart level layouts that do reward your sharp eyes, and also rewards patient players, while the branching narrative paths really ensure your choices shape the entire ending. This one is a must play for both old school fans of the genre and newcomers alike, and it's great to finally see it on Xbox Game Pass, especially so soon after its launch. If you know me, I love a good puzzle game, and one that I personally enjoyed upon its full release was the Talos Principle Principle 2, and I'm just so glad that more gamers will get to experience this unsung gem within their genre. This philosophical first-person puzzle adventure expands on the original with mind-bending challenges, intricate environmental storytelling, and a very deep existential narrative. You will be solving puzzles using different mechanics like lasers, gravity manipulation, and even quantum physics, and that's all kind of uncovering a gripping mystery about the nature of consciousness and AI. For me, this felt like a great continuation of the first game. Personally, the plot this time resonated with me way more, and it felt less pretentious than the first game. Also, I thought that the new puzzle tools were a great addition, and I was quite happy at the removal of a certain other puzzle tool. I do feel like this game is somewhat easier than the first one, but that can be great, especially if you're a brand newcomer to this series. For something totally different in the Xbox Game Pass library for this month, we have Anno Mutationem, and this is a gorgeous 2D meets 3D neon-coated cyberpunk world full of action, adventure, and some pretty awesome RPG mechanics. This is one that I haven't actually come across before, so I've had to dig a little bit deeper to get an idea of what it's about. The blurb states that you become Anne, a highly skilled combat-trained lone wolf on a personal mission in the giant metropolis, and this is a world full of sinister megacorporations, mysterious fringe groups, and creatures more bizarre than words can express. It is a side-scrolling game that contains gun and melee combat, and it kinda gives me Replaced vibes. I have seen some reviews, and overall everyone is pretty positive about it and says that it's a simple but satisfying game but has a great story. I might have to give this one a go as it does look pretty decent, and if you are interested, it will land onto Game Pass on the 28th of January. This is also the first time this week that I've ever heard of Drop Duchy, and apart from it sounding pretty outrageous with its title, it looks like a pretty decent roguelike upon doing some more research. You may be getting some Tetris vibes like me from the trailer as of right now, and I kind of wouldn't blame you, as it's essentially taking that gameplay element but then introducing in some cool turn-based battle mechanics into the mix. Apparently, you also get a deck of buildings that get mixed in with the terrain pieces, and these can interact in some very interesting ways. Personally, I've actually been looking for a game like this to play on my Xbox Ally since I completed Ball X Pit, and this looks like that next indie gem for me to dive into. It's also a day one title since it's actually never been on Xbox before, and those PC reviews so far look incredibly great, so I'm quite excited to try this one out. If you do want to see a review of this game, let me know below, as I'm always keen to hear your feedback and what you guys want to see here on the channel. Sims lovers can also rejoice this month. I certainly know my partner is, as we have MySims Cozy Bundle finally dropping onto Xbox Game Pass for Ultimate and PC on the 29th of January. While MySims Sky Heroes did hit the Xbox 360 all the way back now in 2010, this actually marks the first time the original game and its sequel, named My Sims Kingdom, have actually appeared on Xbox Game Pass. The pair of games are a sort of halfway between The Sims and something like Animal Crossing, as players are basically tasked with helping to rebuild a town to its original and more magical themed location in its kingdom. It is a combination of befriending various characters and then crafting lots of items to progress and create your ideal little town. If you're ever after an easygoing experience, it certainly might be worth considering this one, especially when it arrives onto Game Pass in a few days' time. Brothers of the Imperium! I cannot wait for you to finally get your hands on the absolute masterpiece known as Space Marine 2 on the 29th of January, and I won't lie, I'm still kind of in shock with how this has landed onto Xbox Game Pass so soon. This is just such a bloody fantastic start of 2026, and I cannot understate to you how good this game really is. You get such a quality campaign that follows Captain Titus as you face the hordes of Tyranids and the forces of chaos, and as a blockbuster from start to finish. You then get a really meaty Operation Court mode, which has only been added to constantly, and now contains hours of content including some massive and new creatures for you to battle. I mean, you even get a PvP mode, and although it's still a little bare bones, it massively reminds me of multiplayer from games back in the 360 gen, and those multiplayer aspects were always quite fun to dive into. This game is honestly my game of the year for 2024, and I highly recommend it, especially if you want a cinematic and action-focused third-person shooter. I have heard about INDIKA a few times here on the channel via different YouTubers, and I do watch them on a regular basis, and they've always stated that it's been a pretty great experience. I know it's meant to be a rather unique concept and story that we really don't get anymore, and it's also pretty lovely as well if you're a gamerscore fiend just like me. It is said to be a third-person story-driven game set in a strange world where religious visions clash with harsh reality. It tells the story of a young nun who sets off on a journey of self-discovery with the most unusual horn-headed companion by her side. Apparently, the cinematography is still one of the strongest parts of the overall package, with some outstanding camera work, beautifully composed shots and great use of lighting and environmental design. One review has said that it's very competent in terms of its facial capture performance and even its animation for such a small studio. I honestly cannot wait. It's probably my highlight of this entire list today, as I've played most others on this list, and it's one of those sort of quirky and weird games we really don't get that often. If you remember, we saw the first Final Fantasy game being added a couple weeks back now, and we're getting the second entry at the start of February, specifically on the 3rd. There's not really much I can say about this one, just like the first one we received a couple weeks back now. It's essentially a remodeled 2D take on the second game in the world-renowned series. It is a different tale from the first, as it begins with 4 young souls orphaned during the struggle between the Palamencian Empire and the Rebel Army. On their journey, the youths join forces with a ton of interesting characters, and again, I have no doubt that many Final Fantasy fans are excited, or just anyone who wants to try out these retro titles for the very first time. Unfortunately, as it is a new wave of Xbox Game Pass games, we do have 7 great games also leaving the service. The games leaving on the 31st of January are Starbound, Lonely Mountain Snow Riders, Paw Patrol World, Citizen Sleeper 2, Cataclysmo, Shady Part of Me, and Orcs Must Die Death Trap. Personally, I highly recommend you check out Snow Riders, as that was one of my favourite indies of 2025, and it's so insanely addictive. Orcs Must Die is also a pretty decent one if you do look past those sort of live service mechanics, and it can also be pretty fun to dive into with your friends. Remember though, these are all on discount at the moment, so make sure to either finish them up or do purchase them to keep them in your Xbox Game Pass library forever. I of course do cover these games as well sometimes within our sales videos, so make sure you stay tuned in case one of them goes down on a deep discount. Moving on though, February is certainly not slowing down though, as we do have 3 games also confirmed for Xbox Game Pass. These are the likes of Half-Life 2, Menace, and even Death Howl for your consoles. I will cover these games a little bit further when it comes to Xbox Game Pass news in another couple of weeks, so do make sure to subscribe down below, as I do cover everything Xbox and Game Pass related here on the channel on a daily basis. It's honestly the best way to keep up to date with any Xbox news, and that's with a subscription down below. I have a ton of reviews, news content, and performance videos coming soon as well, and this year is only getting started for Team Green. Please hit that like button if you did enjoy this video, and a big shout out to our channel members for your continued support. If you do want to join and also support me in this channel, you can get some exclusive perks as well, like emotes, videos early, and more, so click that join button down below. If you do want to see some more awesome Xbox content, check out the video on screen, as some huge Fable news just leaked, and I covered everything you need to know before the Xbox Dev Direct this Thursday.